Okay, welcome back, and this is day 2 of rotations. So remember, last night you watched the video, and you have this sheet, and it should be filled in that a rotation is a turning of an image about a point. That we are going to rotate around the origin only. You can rotate around any shape, but we're just going to pick the origin. The two ways to rotate are clockwise, symboled with CW, or counterclockwise with CCW. And then we're going to rotate 90 degrees, which is a quarter of a turn, 180 degrees, which is half a turn, or 270 degrees, which is 3/4 of a turn. And that's what we're going to focus on. And then we talked about 90 degrees clockwise is the same as 270 degrees counterclockwise. 180 degrees clockwise is the same, 180 degrees counterclockwise. And then 270 degrees clockwise is 90 degrees counterclockwise. Again, all making a whole turn. So you should have a piece of patty paper in front of you, and this is what your patty paper looks like. It's tracing paper. They call it patty paper because they put hamburger patties on it in restaurants. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to this coordinate plane right here, and I want you to place your patty paper over top of the coordinate plane. Try to do it in like the top half. And then I want you to trace the y-axis and label it y-axis. And then I want you to trace the x-axis and label that x-axis. Why don't you pause your computer right now and do that? Okay, now that you're back, what I want to do is I want to show you on a coordinate plane how we're going to rotate and move these around. So you're going to take your pencil and you're going to put your pencil right on the origin because that's the point we're rotating around. And I want you to take it into a quarter of a turn or 90 degrees clockwise. And notice what happens. Our y-axis, which was a vertical line, is now a horizontal line. Our x-axis, which was a horizontal line, is now a vertical line. So when you do a 90-degree turn clockwise, you turn your y-axis into your x-axis, and your x-axis into your y-axis. That would also be the same thing if you were doing a 270-degree counterclockwise turn, because remember, those are the same thing. Okay? Now what I want you to do, put your pencil back on the origin, and I want you to rotate it another 90 degrees. So now we've done two 90-degree turns, and two 90-degree turns, when you add them together, 180 degrees. So we've gone 180 degrees clockwise. We've also gone 180 degrees counterclockwise. And what I want you to recognize, is that your y-axis is your y-axis again, and your x-axis is your x-axis again, except what used to be up top, our writing of y-axis, is now on the bottom. And what used to be on the right, our x-axis writing, is now on the left. So we went from top to bottom and right to left. So again, think of that mathematical word called an opposite when you are rotating 180 degrees. We're going to put our pencil back on and we're going to go through another 90-degree turn clockwise. And that has got our y-axis acting as the x-axis again, and the x-axis acting as the y-axis again. Okay? And then if you do one more 90-degree turn, you return back home. And that actually turns into a 360-degree turn, a full circle. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and look at a few examples. Okay, the first example says rotate triangle ABC 270 degrees clockwise. Well, I'm going to look up here and see 270 degrees clockwise and realize that I could also go 90 degrees counterclockwise. It's your choice. So I'm going to lay my x-axis and y-axis over top. And I'm going to make my vertices. Here's my vertex A, my vertex B, and my vertex C. And I'm actually going to label vertex C and vertex B. I'm just going to write two letters there, and I'll show you why in a minute. Then I'm going to take my pencil and put it on the origin, and I'm going to rotate 1/4 turn, 2/4 turn, 3/4 turns, and see where my points are. If you'll notice, we are at -1, -1, -4, -1, and -1, -4. So I'm just going to remove the tracing paper and plot those points again. -1, -1, and I'm going to call that B prime, because that's why I labeled my B there. -1, -4, and I'm going to call that C prime, and then -4 and -1, and the only letter that's left over is A prime. I'm going to connect my dots, and I have officially rotated my shape 270 degrees clockwise, or I'll write it up above 90 degrees counterclockwise. So let me say that one more time. You take your tracing paper, you put your Y, you label it, and you put it right on your axes. You identify your vertices, and then I would write down a couple of letters, just so it helps you when you're labeling them. Put your pencil, and you could either do the 270 clockwise, or if you wanted to, you realize it's 90 degrees counterclockwise, just come back a quarter of a turn, and all three of those points line up. And then you plot your new vertices, draw the lines, and label your A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay? Next one, so why don't you do that on your paper right now, and pause the computer so that yours looks exactly like mine. The next one that we are going to do after you come back is we're going to do rotate WXYZ 180 degrees counterclockwise. So pause the computer, do number 7, and then when you're done, unpause, and I'll be ready to go. Okay, now that you have already paused your computer, I'm going to put my coordinate plane again above, and we're going to do the exact same thing we just did. Since we're in a new coordinate, we don't have to erase these 3 points. If you were in the same quadrant, you would want to erase the points. But since we're in a new spot, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to make my 4 vertices, and I'm going to label them X, and I'm going to label Z, and I'll label Y. And then I don't have to do W, because if I know 3, I know the last one has to just be the last one. And it says I'm going 180 degrees counterclockwise. Now, it doesn't really matter what direction you go. So I'm going to do a quarter of a turn, half of a turn, and I'm going to look at where the coordinates are. My X prime is going to be at 1, 1. My Y prime is going to be at 1, 3. So I'm going to move my paper right now, and I'm going to make my X prime and my Y prime, and that was at 1, 3. And then I'm going to put my paper over again, my tracing paper or patty paper, and I'm going to know that Z is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So 4, 3 is Z prime. And my last point, which is W, because that was the one I didn't write down, is W prime. I'm going to connect the dots to my rectangle, because it is a rectangle. And then I have successfully rotated rectangle WXYZ 180 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise. You can also write 180 degrees clockwise if you'd like to up here. And I'm going to let you know, oftentimes when they're doing 180 degrees, they will not give you a direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise, because it doesn't matter what direction you use. Okay? Those are 2 examples that we have done on rotations. What I'd like you to do is pause your computer and do example number 8 or question number 8 on your paper, and make sure yours looks like mine. Then what I want you to do is I want you on your own to go over to question number 9 and rotate this line segment, KJ, 90 degrees clockwise. Okay? And if we want, let's look 90 degrees clockwise, 270 degrees counterclockwise. Okay? Good luck. Let me know by telling me in class when you have completed this, and then I'll give you the classwork for the day.